And welcome to another Round the Rotary podcast with me, your host, J.P. Warren. And in the studio today, we got Jason Word, the sales director of Hexacom. But before we start, I gotta do the little kickoff right here to our sponsor. Round the Rotary podcast is brought to you by Capital Petroleum Consultants. CPC specializes in project engineering and well site supervision in all disciplines of the oil and gas industry. Contact us through www.capitalpetroleumconsultants.com to see what CPC can do for you today. And again, everyone, thanks for listening in. I hope everyone's having a good New Year so far. And today in the studio, we, again, as I said before, we have Jason, sales director at Hexacom, and we've never met before, but I've seen your stuff, and we were connected, and we decided to get you on the podcast to talk about it. And I looked at y'all's website, and I'm really excited to talk about this today. So before we get into the juicy stuff, let's get the background going. Okay. Let's start off. All right, go ahead.
First, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being
here. Really
here.
Excited to be here. I haven't done one of these in a little while. COVID kind of got in the way. And
you've done podcasts before?
I've done similar things. In fact, I was supposed to do one before BC, before COVID, and then that.
That's how you. Actually, that is a good way to look at things. It's either BC. Yeah, that's a good point. Or AC.
Kind of went to the side right when that happened, and hadn't thought about it much. So when this opportunity came up, it sounded like fun. So I just wanted to come join you.
It's a good intro to get to other podcasts that people listen to more. You know what I mean? This is like the good segue. This is the minor leagues. All right, then you can graduate to the good stuff. So, all right. Well, so let's. Now we're back. Now it's AC podcast time. Yeah. Let's do this.
Okay. I'll start with a little background. So, was born in Alabama. I was born in Michigan, but raised in Alabama. And
when did you move to Alabama?
When I was very young.
Okay.
When I was about 2 years old.
Okay.
So, complete Alabama raised. Never really had any ties to the oil field whatsoever. So absolute first generation. Grew up, never saw pump jacks, never saw drilling rigs.
You and me both.
Yeah, so completely separate from that, right? So never gave any thought to joining this industry. So when I went off to school, I went to Auburn.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what'd you study at Auburn?
Chemical engineering.
Okay.
And by the time I got to my senior sequence, the one thing I was fairly certain about was that I did not want to be a chemical engineer. But there's a lot of work that had gone into it at that point in time. So
right.
you feel pretty committed at that point.
A lot of sunk costs.
At that point in time, right? But the idea of being a process engineer at a pulp and paper plant or something like that just was not that exciting.
It wasn't sexy. It didn't entice you.
It wasn't. So started interviewing, and my grades were fine. I wasn't blowing it out of the water, but right. I was nowhere near the bottom. And but the interviewers kept coming back to one thing. They kept, where are your extracurriculars, right? Where are your Greek letters? Did you not work for this group on campus? And I said, well, no, because I was working about 30 hours a week, waiting tables and serving drinks at night.
So they were coming back saying, hey, what other involvement did you get? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And it was the time I had going full-time engineering plus doing that was already pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I thought, wow, this doesn't seem to be the right line. So at one point, I started interviewing with some oil companies and some oil field service companies. I noticed there was a very distinct change in attitude towards that.
What was the change?
Because these guys said, wait a minute, were you full-time chemical engineering and you're working all these hours at night? And they were like, oh, okay.
That was impressive.
This was, and it just speaks out to our culture, right?
Right.
This is an extremely hard-working culture. So that was my first clue. I thought, well, this might make a bit more sense to me. So then Big Blue came down, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here and kind of show how old I am. So
I've done that many times on this.
Schlumberger came to campus and started interviewing, but this was when they were still separate. You interviewed with Wireline, with Anadrill, with Dowell,
okay.
with the component parts, and they were still separate. Now, as a chemical engineer, I got approved for an interview with Dowell because cementing, chemical engineering, okay. Should be some kind of link there. And I do like everyone else. I go to the interview and I've got my cheap suit on, your one tie that you have, and I sit there and I wait for my time, and next person goes in, the next person goes in, the next person goes in. It gets about to the end of the day and they come up and they say, Jason, I'm sorry, I have to apologize. We had some scheduling errors and we're not going to be able to interview you. But I went and talked to my colleague at Wireline, And he said he has time and he can talk to you.
Okay.
So my first 20 plus years of my career was all in wireline.
I was going to say, how much chemical engineering degree did you use in the wireline?
None whatsoever.
sector?
But what you find is oil field services. There's really no degree that teaches you oil field services. But I've always found it funny that the first 20 plus years of my career were entirely based on an administrative error.
Based on a scheduling error. Yeah, that's it. But the thing is, but going back to the oil, I mean, talking about the oil field, I mean, people are, oh, how do you get in the oil field? How do how do we get into sales? How do we get into this? There's the path to how people get here is never ever the same. That's why I love this background question, because it's like, it's never the same answer. So you started your career because of a flub up when it comes to the scheduling.
That's it.
I love that.
That's
All
it.
right. So you're doing wireline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, started on a wireline truck. So I've got 24 years in the industry.
Okay.
Started on a wireline truck in Liberal, Kansas.
Okay.
So that was a shock to the system. Right?
Okay.
Because grew up where there's woods and water and everything's green, to going out where it's as flat and brown as anywhere you're ever going to see. So this was pre-shale. This was all conventional, high volume, doing about 20 open hole jobs a month, just blowing and going on this low tier stuff.
What did you think from being, a graduate at Auburn to sitting in a wireline truck in Liberal, Kansas? I mean, because first off, the experience is great, but you're also exposed to all the characters and all the personalities of our industry.
Absolutely.
So what was that like for you?
It was a challenge that I took on and kind of accepted, because it was even. Once we started interviewing, it was even the oil field in general, but oil field services especially. It was already kind of the critique of these companies that you're going to get a lot of responsibility very, very fast. So in that sense, it's going to be quite exciting, but you're gonna work way too hard. Right. So then you go out there. When I went for my first interview, I sat through a full lubricator open hole job that went for like 30 hours, which was crazy there, because usually most of those jobs were a couple hours long, right? And sat overnight, and you're covered in mud, and everything's dirty, and
what did I get myself into?
And in classic oil field,
Banter.
Well. The following night, I was given my offer over drinks out at the local bar. Right?
There you go.
So it was exciting, because you saw all the potential, and I think for a lot of us that are probably short attention span kids, you're not going to go do one thing just for your whole career. You're going to get to change it up. You're going to get that feeling of excitement and renewal with the job on a regular basis.
I think you need that. Is that what kind of drove you, I guess, throughout your position? Just craving something new, a new experience, learning something new?
I've been asked why I stayed in this industry, why I stayed with the same company for so long, and that was it. And I was like, well, I effectively got that same starting feeling of getting to do something different without losing your background and your seniority and everything you put into it.
And you're just adding to your experience. You're adding to your resume. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah. So expert or master of nothing.
What is that? I was a little about a lot and a lot about a little, or something like that. So you sit in wireline. So you're advancing through your career.
I did that for a couple of years, and then I still a field engineer.
Okay.
I got to go to Gulf of Mexico, offshore Louisiana.
That's a new experience.
Based out of LaRose, Louisiana. Best people I ever worked with down the bayou.
Okay.
Just fantastic experience, and I was there through the transition from the shelf to deep water.
Okay.
So I went there when everything was on the shelf, and you're riding crew boats all the way to 4 years later there, where you're flying helicopters and going out to 5,000 feet of water for every job, right? So I saw that transition.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's nothing like having a company man yell at you that this rig costs $2 a second when you're having problems.
I love when they break it down for you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I always appreciated that, actually, because it was thought.
It's such a mind blowing thing too. Whenever they break it, because you get the day rate, you get the spread rate, and all that stuff. Then once they break it down, if there's downtime and all that stuff, it's like, okay, I need to get my ass in gear, because this is $14 a second or minute or whatever it is. Yeah, it's insane.
But it was a fantastic experience. In fact, it was the longest place I've really, longest assignment, longest location I've stayed at in the last 24 years was 4 years.
Offshore?
Was there in La Rose. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I went from there and went and did a similar role in the Western Gulf, based out of Webster, Southeast Houston.
Okay.
Houston offshore. So that was my first time I lived in Houston, because I've been in and out of here for the whole rest of my career.
Well, where were you living? Were you living in La Rose at the time?
No. They moved me over to what was offshore out of Houston.
Okay.
I was out based in Webster, so I lived in Clear Lake.
Well, what about before that?
Well, no, I lived in New Orleans.
Okay. That sucks. Okay. It's a joke, people out there that haven't tuned in this the first time. Right. So Webster, offshore.
Webster, offshore, and finished my field career there. So I stayed about 7 years in the field as a wireline field engineer. Decided to try my hand internationally. So was given a transfer to go over and be a wireline instructor at a training center just outside of Edinburgh, Scotland.
Cool. Okay.
So, absolutely love that. I mean,
was that the first time you went? Was that the first time you went international?
Yes. Yeah. So Scotland was kind of an easy step to go international. Right. At least there was no language barrier. There was no dramatic cultural change. But that first time that far away from home. But Edinburgh is nice. It's not your traditional oil field town.
I know that.
And it was pretty rewarding. Every 3 months you get another 20, 25 new bright-eyed students that you have to break down and
so it's constantly
be an engineer.
Constantly evolving. You're meeting new people. So how long were you a wireline instructor there for?
Just under 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, but when I say rewarding, I still see people in the industry that came through when I was a student there, and that's just exciting. Especially you see them passing yourself in the.
That's exciting, though.
Through the chain,
you see these connections kind of grow and kind of take on their own career path, and evolve.
So a couple of years there, decided I wanted to take my first step into sales, and was offered Lagos, Nigeria.
Been there. Let's back up real quick. What made you want to get into sales in an international experience as a wireline instructor? I mean, what
So an instructor was something I had never really asked for.
Okay.
I never planned on doing. I enjoyed it, but I wanted to start seeing more of our customers' side of the business. You can, whether you're riding a wireline truck or you're running directional drilling, you can get very narrowly focused on what you do.
Right.
And I wanted a bigger understanding of the workflow and the customer side of it, and sales seemed like a good step into that.
So you're about 9 years into your career, right? And it seems like, obviously, your career has evolved also from that, but it seems like every step of the way, it's like, I don't know about this, I'm going to do it. I don't know about this, I want to try it. I kind of want to, I'm going to try it. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, not going blindly, but it's like you had an idea of what you want, I mean, even what you didn't want to do, but you just continued to go down that path and try it out and gain the knowledge, gain the experience, and kind of then decide what do you want to do after that.
That was it. And I do. I think it's something, I won't say it's unique, but I think it's something that's common to our industry. And it goes back to your previous question. It's another thing that makes me excited about our industry is that is a common mindset here.
Okay.
Right. And I wasn't doing it alone. Through the stop in New Orleans, I met my wife, and she's been my partner in crime and all this. In fact, when I was given that offer to go to Nigeria, I thought, oh wow, this is too much to ask of her, because it was dangerous at the time. You got a guy with a gun taking you where you're going. The elections were coming. It gets very dangerous there when that happens. And I told her
you started sales in Lagos.
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, they were pretty open. They said, you're going to come handle some of the American clients, right? So I looked after some of and my first real good engagements with some of the predominant IOCs in the world, right? With Hexacom, with Chevron, with these guys, real positive. But, I called home when I first got it, before I got home, and told my wife, I said, look, this is what I've been offered. I said, I'm not asking you to say anything. We'll talk about it when I get home. And when I got there, she had gone to the store, and she had a book in her hand and said, expat living Nigeria. And she said, yeah, we're going.
Okay.
Wow, that was
that's a good that's good support system right there.
It was.
Okay.
It was. So we stayed there for 2.5 years. I could do an hour on time in Nigeria.
I was there for I think 2-3 weeks, 2009 or something like that. Yes, I could talk to about an hour or 2 hours in that. So I bet you can talk a completely different a week for that. Yeah.
I mean a really good experience, and came back from there. Went into a marketing and technology development role. Focused more on
in Houston.
Okay. Yeah, this is my second time coming back to Houston.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, really looking at ultra high tension deep water conveyance systems for Wireline. Anyway, I won't go into all of that, but I came back kind of marketing and product development for there. And then from there, I moved to France.
Okay.
And leading our technical help desk
in Paris.
Yes. So that's about as far as I got on my French. Even though I stayed there for about 3.5 years. That time again, really good experience and enjoyed it. Then came back to Houston and came back to my sales roots. So now I came into a global account sales role.
Okay.
So now I really got to be in the customer's headquarters office and really got to understand, not only just the cycle of the well, but even the early planning and the portfolio development and the reserves determinations and everything that comes around
the origins, the birth to the
Really starting to appreciate it and really starting to get my first touches outside of Wireline, right? I've been pretty Wireline specific now. Well, now I'm getting across the whole cycle, right? So did that for a couple of years. I know this sounds very long, but did that for a couple of years.
It actually doesn't keep. This is a great story.
I got pulled out of that one kicking and screaming because I really enjoyed it. That was one of my favorite roles that I've had. But came back in at that point in time to my U.S. land and North America land roots as sales manager.
How about that? Going from Nigeria to France to all this. I mean, you're dealing with. I would assume. I mean, you tell me. I would assume it'd probably be fewer clients, larger clients. Kind of the pool's a little bit smaller, but the fish are a lot bigger to deal with. The processes, the bureaucracy, and then you go to the U.S. and it's just it's free for all.
It's completely different. It's absolutely different. So coming into that North America land sales manager role, you really start to recognize the difference. We commonly hear sales and commercial. We hear sales and marketing.
Yes.
The reality is sales, as you define sales here, very relationship based, very transactional, very short-term duration. Places like Nigeria, a lot of these international places, Saudi, everywhere else, it's much more account management, right? It comes down to winning a tender, winning the contract, and then once you have the contract, it's about managing the account, making sure the customer gets what they need, and looking at their well cycle and optimizing and planning all of that. So they're wildly different sets to be an account manager versus sales in North America land.
Okay.
Right. Then you come to commercial. We toss that in. Well, commercial acumen and understanding pricing and strategies and bids and all that. That's a whole nother sales set. And then managing salespeople.
I don't know. Yeah. Yes.
Because you can be a very good salesperson, not necessarily a manager, and
vice versa,
right? Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about coming to our market, especially in U.S. land, there's opportunity everywhere. There's so much innovation. There's so much work going on. It just depends where you point the car.
Okay.
Right? I mean, and how you point it is going to depend whether you have some success, a little success, or you have great success. So really, when it comes to managing people, it's all about setting that high level goal setting that high level strategy and vision of where you want to be, helping to put those tactics in place to get there, but then supporting your people, right, and making the best use of their individual skill sets, because not every salesperson is just the same.
Oh no, and that's what makes sales so fun. I mean, you got the people that are very technical. You got the people that do meetings. The people that used to do the breakfast runs, not anymore, because that's BC's talk. And then you got the people that are golf. You have the wine and diner. I mean, it's the tactics for sales and getting in front of customers is so. I love seeing it when people get innovative and kind of create new ideas to get in front of people. So no two salespeople are the same. I agree.
And it absolutely works when you have a team that has a mix of those people, right?
Yes.
You have all red driver personalities. It's a problem in one way. You have all technical, people that want to talk. It's an issue the other way, right? So did that for a little while. Some reorganizations happened. Became sales manager for North America as a whole, still on the Wireline side, but now got Gulf of Mexico, got Alaska, got that sort of stuff. And it didn't last very long, and then I was back on a plane back to France as sales and commercial manager for Wireline Global for Schlumberger. So that was kind of the probably the pinnacle, if you will, of my Schlumberger career. Fantastic experience, right? Because you're really engaging, executive level, and you're traveling around and seeing all the different geographies and how wonderfully different it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like up to the point we're at today, it seems like you got the operational, you got the field experience, you dealt with international markets, you're dealing with these larger with NOCs and all you're dealing with all these things, and then you have the U.S. side of it. So it seems like the experience that you've had have been kind of all over, not all over the board, but they've been a lot of different disciplines. And so it sounds like a pretty exciting career path.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's amazing how fast it goes. Those first few years really seem like they're an eternity, and after that, it's just a blink of the eye. And now I sound like I'm the old man in the room. I guess there's some reality to it.
The great crew change, right? Right.
But after a couple of years in that role, we came back again. The yo-yo continued back across the ocean, back to Houston for the fourth time.
Okay.
Thank you. Worked with Extreme organization for a little while. Now that's really about product sales and rental in North America. So that was actually a fantastic introduction to what I do now, because this is now really starting to reach out beyond the operator group and reaching out and touching all the service companies in North America, and was really impressed with a lot of the companies that I saw. And then just this past June, made the move over to Hexacom for this new startup.
Well, talk to me about this. Talk to me about the startup. I mean, I've seen this. We've talked about this before, but I kind of want to have a blind conversation about this, because I think that's kind of where our audience will kind of benefit more, and me too, because I think this is it's a very cool product. It's very I don't know the word, current maybe. It's current. It's a current product that's kind of parallels to, I guess, the personal side of online. I'm gonna stop. Let's talk Hexacom right now.
Okay. So Hexacom is a private legal entity that has a product in the market today called Oilfield Marketplace.
Okay. And that's OFMP.com.
The OFMP.com.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So what this is really, this is a more efficient way to connect sellers with buyers, specifically in the North American market.
How? It's an online platform.
It's an online platform. It's an e-commerce platform. We kind of touched on it before. Probably the closest relationship is it's an Amazon for the oil field.
Right.
Now, obviously, in our industry, this is much earlier in the process than where Amazon is. But this is really the general idea. It's our answer to commercial efficiency for our industry.
Okay.
So I mean, if you go back and we just take a couple steps back and you look at you look at how commerce has changed in our lives. I mean, if you think 20 years back, even 10 years back to where we are today from before, it's absolutely crazy. The changes that have taken place, right? There's a study that before COVID, about 13% of all B2B commerce, that's business to business commerce, right, it took place, was all happening via e-commerce. That's across the United States as a whole, 13% beforehand. So after COVID, the question is, what is COVID doing? Now, I hate to say there's any silver lining to COVID, but in terms of this mind frame and this adoption, COVID is starting to move us forward very, very fast. So as a whole, digital commerce in the United States, it's been estimated that in just 2 months after the start of COVID, the acceleration of the adoption of digital commerce accelerated by 5 years in terms of what was expected. So, there's a lot of businesses we already used it quite a bit of, everything from airline tickets to hotels, to banking, to some of these. All of these accelerated significantly.
Well,
banking, entertainment,
groceries,
all of these now. Those three we just mentioned, they're all 50% e-commerce now or more than out of their total sales.
So unfortunately, but fortunately, I guess what happened in the world stage kind of not set Hexacom, but it kind of allowed y'all to progress in this market in a good way, right? Because it's online, it's not in person, it's online. It's kind of the platform's kind of you go there, you kind of get a vast array of products. I've looked, there's tons of different industries that are focuses of the oil field that y'all serve, which is exciting. So, and that's the thing, though. I mean, you say it's like Amazon, but I've heard, in our industry, and I think COVID, you're right, the silver lining. It's tough to say with so many people kind of losing their jobs or companies being consolidated. But that being said, I mean, it's not a necessary change, but it's a real change that's happening in our industry right now. What you're seeing in marketing, advertising, content, how people are sourcing their services. I've heard of people wanting to create like an Uber, and I think it's out there, like an Uber app for vacuum trucks or something like that. You do need to kind of bridge that gap between whether it's Amazon and oil field marketplace or Uber and company X vacuum truck distributor. So I think it's exciting. I think it's cool product, service, whatever you want to call it, because it does kind of bridge that gap between kind of how we live our personal lives through Amazon, Uber, and the oil field industry.
Yeah, I mean, so our industry is now on the downside to that. We talk about that our industry has been lagging in this adoption pretty significantly.
What adoption?
In terms of adoption of e-commerce, of digital commerce in general.
Yeah.
Right. We work in an incredibly innovative industry, but that innovation has almost been entirely with the technologies that we use. Especially when you look at shale in the United States. Previous downturns, previous external efforts to try and squash the unconventional business in the United States, they've driven huge technological innovation.
Yes.
The efficiencies that have been gained in this industry, going back the last time really around the 2015 timeline, is absolutely unbelievable what this industry here in the U.S. and in Western Canada has managed to do. Well, now here we are again, right? Here we are in another, we're starting to recover a bit now, but we're in another one of these downslopes of the industry, and we're being asked to do it again. Right? Yeah. So everyone's structural cost has been cut. Everyone, as you said, it's a shame. We've all seen so many friends and colleagues lose their job, and but we're being asked to do it again. We're being asked, well, you need to make more efficiencies again. Well, at this point, we need to start looking in other avenues than just what can we do at the well site, right?
It's not it's not efficiencies in technology. It's more evolution of technology. Correct. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Correct. So what we're looking at is in our industry, commercial efficiency is very, very low. And there's a number of reasons for that, right? One, we're very technical. This is not like going online and buying a shirt or buying a piece of furniture. We deal in very, very technical items. We're also a very relationship based industry. For good and for bad, I think it's very good. I've listened to some of your podcasts, and it's a routine thing that you talk about with your guests, the power and the importance of relationship and building trust and all of that. That's not going to go away. So I want to go ahead and say that even as we move in this direction, the place of people and that relationship's not it's not going to go away. But it's definitely been part of what has driven this poor commercial efficiency in our industry. It's calling multiple suppliers. It's 3 bids and a price. And there's this very long, drawn out by design process that we have. But what's exciting now is that people are looking for some of those efficiencies. We have more and more companies that don't have the big dedicated supply chain organization. Everybody's pulling double duty.
Yes.
Pretty much every ops manager I talk to, whether it's a small independent operator, whether it's a service company, not only are they doing their operations manager job, they're also talking to suppliers.
Oh, they're
also trying to source them.
Everyone's wearing multiple hats these days.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so interesting and why we can do this here. I'm sorry if I'm just going all over.
No. That's what this is for. Keep going.
The reason we can do this here, I think, in North America and land operations in particular, this is a complete unique environment. It's different to the rest of the world because what we have here is we have absolute critical mass. We have hundreds of active operators at any one point in time.
Yes.
You have anywhere from 50 to 100 service companies for every product line that are servicing those operators. And then from the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer, you've got dozens of manufacturers of every product they use. Basically, everything you need to drill and complete, you can effectively you can buy off the shelf.
Right.
And these are good companies too, right? I mean, they're very, very solid companies, very fit for purpose, very agile companies. But you do have this very large pool, critical mass, where something like an open marketplace can really be successful.
Yeah.
And that's going to be quite challenging in other markets around the world where you simply have a limited number of operators. You might only have the big 3 or 4 service companies. Most of the manufactured parts come from overseas, come from outside. So it's a very different market in that regard.
So how do you source, I guess, the items that are on your that are on the oil field marketplace? Because there's so many. I'm looking at Bayrite, I'm looking at Arm & Hammer, I'm looking at drill bits. I mean, it's really it's a hodgepodge of cool stuff that's needed. So how do you source, I guess, the suppliers? Do they approach you or do you approach them? I mean, how does that? Is it kind of both?
It's a combination.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and introduce it a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is, I've used the term already a couple times. It's an open marketplace. So this is open to all buyers.
Okay.
Right? There's no contract required. Nothing has to be signed up front, and it's also open to sell products from all equipment manufacturers. So it's open both for buyers and for sellers in that regard. And really what we're looking at, the real value for each, from the buyer, you're getting increased supplier accessibility.
Right.
You're also getting more procurement efficiency. In other words, any one buyer ideally can go onto the site, and it's not just finding that one product that you need, but out of the portfolio that buyer has to buy, he's able to find multiple products.
Yeah.
So not only is he reaching customers that maybe or suppliers that maybe aren't knocking on his door, but he's able to go in and save time of putting out multiple bids and multiple calls across all of these different areas. And again, something we can uniquely do here because let's face it, we have a lot of experience in this market.
Yeah.
In the U.S. in particular. And there's a lot of people that don't, and a lot of products they use, they don't necessarily need the full sales effort. What they need specs, they need lead times, they need transparent pricing,
right,
and they need time, basically, right? So this is a lot of what we offer for those. For The sellers, obviously, they're getting to reach some new customer that perhaps they're not meeting now. And there's also a commercial efficiency alongside of that. And again, I mentioned earlier, I never see this replacing sales. This is complementary to sales. What it does is it allows your salespeople to have some of these transactions take place through an e-commerce forum. It reaches new customers for them. That's obviously better than doing cold calls. But then a lot of repeat orders, a lot of parts, a lot of things that they're spending a lot of administrative time, is now they're gaining this commercial efficiency through this platform, and they can use their time for more higher value engagements with their customers. So I mean, back to your original question, we're absolutely open to all sellers. And early in the process, I should probably step back just a bit. So
how
Hexacom and OFMP started in 2018.
That's okay.
So in the second half of 2018.
Okay.
And keep in mind, this is mostly IT development at this point in time.
So this is when it first started. So
this is
there was no website. There was no.
Nothing. Right.
This is just building the software, building the platform, sourcing the suppliers. Okay.
Correct. So we did have a major backing. So this was backed by Schlumberger.
Okay.
We do have our separate entities, so we maintain that healthy separation, from the mothership, if you will, right? Both from a legal standpoint, physical separation, also from a confidentiality, because we're open for all sellers, right? So we take that very, very seriously. But it started at 2018. Spent 2018, most of 2019, really from an IT standpoint, really building the platform. There's a certain minimal functionality it's going to need.
This is very user friendly. I'm looking at this right now. I don't need any of this stuff, but I kind of want to spend a couple minutes perusing this. But yeah, so
there's some stuff on there for $5 or $10 if you want to buy something just to try it out. So now we take it both ways. So. Obviously, I spend an awful lot of time looking at buyers and what we can do to make their lives better. But anyone can go on there who's interested in selling as well. And go to customer service. This is how we got most of our first external sellers.
Okay.
That came on, as they just came and said, "Hey, we're interested. We're innovators. We see the potential for this. We're interested in selling." And we went through the onboarding process with them. Now we're more actively as well, going out to find those suppliers that fit the gaps that we still have in our offerings.
So you're building this. You're sourcing suppliers. You built the platform. You're sourcing suppliers. What is y'all's, I guess, strategy or tactic on trying to make this kind of the oil field marketplace, kind of make a household name or office hold name, whatever you want to call it? Like, what's your strategy on, I guess, getting word out? Like, hey, we're here. I mean, obviously this podcast might be part of it, but like, we're here, and utilize or at least take a look at this the software, this website, and just kind of go through it. I mean, how are you kind of, I guess, attacking or approaching getting the word out there?
So we have our own marketing team.
Okay.
It's led by Flavia. She's excellent at what she does, and she's got a team, and she's got a number of contractors as well. So we've gotten very active in openly promoting through Google, through social media platforms. We're continuing to grow our online presence through LinkedIn, through the various, very effective in North America as well. And we all try and get out here and be the face of this, right? At the same time, we have taken a new step in this past number of months towards the end of last year, and it started adding our own salespeople.
Okay.
Now this is a bit of a twist in terms of e-commerce platform, because we're not going out with a salesperson and saying buy this product.
Right.
That's not the point. What they're doing is that they're going out and they're selling the solution. Right? And they're going and really just making sure that it's about brand awareness. It's introducing people. This is what it can do.
Yeah.
This is what we have. Obviously, there's going to be some talk about the products that are there, because that's always going to come up. But this is adding another level, right? So there's a lot of people that say we've we've heard of it before, we've kind of seen, never done anything, but actually opening it up and having people go through it, we hope to get that kind of reaction that you just had.
If I'm a first time buyer, okay, I'm a first time buyer. I'm kind of, let's say I'm hesitant to do this. Okay, I'm hesitant to get online and use the Amazon of the oil field marketplace, whatever you want to call it. What are some common, I guess, hesitations that people might have to use, and what's your answer to guide them through that or walk them through the steps?
So there's a number of roadblocks, and I say these are the roadblocks to adoption of this type of procurement, because I always come back to it. We're still early in this, right? And there's several of them. There's in general there's the culture change, around relationship and dealing with a person. There's also the commercial efficiency side of things. In other words, if you're going to go and there's one product you have on there, what's going to make you want to go to the site rather than just going to the OEM? And you might even have it set up where you can just send them a text and buy something. So a big answer to that side is really making sure that you increase that commercial efficiency value to the buyer. And the way you do that is by having first of all, making it very simple and easy to use. It's open 24/7. You don't have to get somebody on the phone, but it's also increasing the value they get by having more of the products that they want to source. Because again, this is where you really start savings. Some of the other traditional roadblocks that you come up on is we got to make sure that the portfolio is fit for purpose for North America land. Right. When you first start this up, and I'd be willing to bet that some of my peers and the other platforms out there saw the same thing. You get a lot of people that see silver bullet. Right. I'm going to put the excess stuff I have. I can't sell.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick this on there, and I try and tell people if you can't sell it through your traditional sales channel to a customer that trusts you and you've been working for years, this is probably not going to just solve that problem. So it's making sure that your portfolio is fit for purpose is what people actually need. And then the last one really is price transparency. This is a big one in our industry.
So regarding setting the prices here, obviously the OEM or the supplier is going to set the price, and that's could be they can just shoot you a note, or they email you like, hey, look, we need to adjust the prices to higher or low. I mean, is that
so we just part of the back end of the system that you don't see when they're on here is we have something called the seller hub.
Okay.
This is so for every seller that we sign an agreement with to sell on the site, they get access to this, and it lets them manage their own portfolio on the back end. So they can set up their products. We give them a tutorial and show them how to do it. They can set up their products, but then at any point in time, they can go if they want to add more sales collateral, pictures, videos, they want to change the price, they want to do any of that, they can go make those changes. They push it to publish. We get 24 hours to make sure they didn't break anything. It still works and looks good, and then it goes live.
So I mean, going back to yes, this is still a startup. This is still kind of it's toddler stage, I guess, not its infancy stage, it's toddler stage, if you will. So it is growing. I mean, the number of suppliers, the number of products that are on this website is only going to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They're going about as fast as we can add them right now. In fact, we have 2 new suppliers coming on both scheduled for Monday.
Exciting.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll go ahead. We have SAZ, who's a supplier of bridge plugs, cement retainers, some artificial lift equipment, and we have LubeChem, who's a wonderful complementary supplier that provides the greases and the sealants and a lot of the things that go along with the other products. So again, increasing the value to the buyer. You go in and buy a valve, well, look right there. You can also buy the valve sealant and the greases, and now this is just making it more and more efficient for you, right? So those are the types of sellers that I'm talking about when I talk about rounding out a portfolio.
Right. Right. So you're seeing, I guess, with everything with the BC AC talk. I mean, potentially, I mean, I guess the way the industry, how it's squeezed or forced in this direction, I mean, this kind of looks like it's a pretty complementary kind of what's going on in our world today. I mean, you don't have to go to the shop, you don't have to go to the store, you can kind of just sit there and in reality kind of look online and look at the products, look at the services, and kind of select. So it does kind of bridge that gap between the personal and professional side of thing in life, which I think is a cool product.
It does, and we kind of chatted about this before. Let's face it, when we talk about a cultural change, it's kind of happening whether we like it or not, right? Because there is a whole generation of people that grew up this way, that grew up and this is how they buy, this is how their personal life has been defined and the way they get things. They're now stepping into decision-making roles within this company. Yeah. So while there's a lot of people from my time and before that this does still feel foreign, right? It takes a bit more time and effort. There's a whole lot of people in our industry coming in that this is absolute second nature, and they're wondering why we haven't done this already.
I think more of those people kind of as time goes on versus the first half, because people want new innovative ways. They want new kind of easier ways to kind of source things. Mm-hmm. So I view the oilfield marketplace as being such a cool, unique platform. I think it's right in line with everything that's going on right now. It's exciting. It sounds pretty exciting right now. This is in the toddler stage. You're kind of building it up. You're adding suppliers. So in your previous roles, it seems like it was the Big Blue, Schlumberger. It was very structured, very the siloed. You do this. This is the trajectory. This is your career path. Mm-hmm. This is a new pace for you. This is a new dance, right? Yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So this is exciting, right? Because I feel like I got the best of both worlds, because you reach a point in your career where you want something new, right? Where that's it started to weigh on you. You've been working the schedule. You've been doing all this for so long, and you think I really want to do something new. When this opportunity came up, it's one of those borderless opportunities. You're gonna set your schedule. You're gonna set your strategy, and it's kind of where you take it, right? Yeah. It's not based on a set. This is your objectives. We're gonna make this market share. We're gonna make this. We're gonna make that. It's really open, and it's innovative, and it's exciting. So it's wonderful for me at this point in my career.
Because there's no playbook on. No. We were successful the past 75 years, so keep doing that playbook. This is a new thing, so you kind of have to write your own playbook doing this.
Right, and look, I didn't start this. I need to give credit back to the team. Chad Hartness is the managing director, and there was a whole team on developing this and getting the first people to come on and sell. So these guys set the stage, and I'm lucky enough. I came in. I like to say right now we're at the inflection point. Okay. Now, because right now we're growing exponentially. Every month is a record from the previous months. Now you have to, when you're starting small, you have to be careful with percentages because they can be misleading. But it's quite exciting because we're at a point of doubling, tripling, quadrupling every quarter what we had at the quarter before. So it is happening, and we see more of it in the industry. I'm excited because we do have an early mover side to us, but there's quite a few more platforms out there. Now they're not quite in the same space, right? And you've got some single OEM e-commerce sites. You have some that are more almost like classified listings, booking sites, things like that. You have some that are quite well developed, but they're more just surface equipment, kind of multi-industry parts and connections and cables and things. And then you have some that even only sign contracts with buyers and they really perform the supply chain services. But, all of these in the different parts of the space, to me, it's all good, right? At this point, just like the same discussion I give with our sellers, I say, look, having multiple sellers on the site benefits everyone. Yeah. Everyone, it brings more traffic because there's more value to the buyer. It helps everyone. Well, it's the same thing even between the different e-commerce sites. Really, it's beneficial to everyone in terms of getting this to be a part of the regular workflow.
An office hold name, if you will. So we're in the toddler stage right now. What obviously this is going to change. It probably changes throughout the hour, throughout the day.
Feels like it.
Where do you see? I guess as of right now, where do you see this Hexacom going, or the oilfield marketplace going? I mean, what's the potential that I guess your team envisions, or that you're going for, beating on the same drum, walking that direction?
So there's amazing potential, right? And so right now we're very focused on products. Okay. And again, we are end to end. We're very much upstream focused, but we're really we're an end to end product supplier. As this moves on, there's going to be improvements based both on the functionality, on the options given to our buyer, as well as improvements for the seller.
Yeah.
So we're working on much more ERP backend integration for our sellers to really make it more advantageous for them selling through this channel, as well as in terms of the buyers. Like I said, right now we're focusing on really building the portfolio.
Right.
What we have coming out next, we are looking at services and scheduling. So this is where it gets pretty exciting too, because now you're talking about something where you don't have a fixed price, where you have a set schedule.
Yeah.
There's a rate applied, and then at some point
that fluctuates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So once we can offer that, it's really going to enhance, and not just by adding services, not just by adding bit rentals or wireline tool runs or things along those lines.
That's valuable right there.
But it also adds a lot, because even a lot of products in the market have a service assigned to it, right? You sell to an operator, you sell a bunch of frac plugs. Well, quite often maybe not even frac plugs, but bridge plugs and things like that. Quite often that includes bringing a person out to run the service, right? So once you have that functionality, it really starts to enhance it, and it really makes you cover the full
spectrum. That's cool.
The whole thing, right? So there's that is coming along. We're building a new user interface and improving just the general quality of the sites, and then down the road, maybe for 2022, some really exciting stuff.
Well, I'm looking at this right now, and again, it's www.vofmp.com, and it looks pretty simple. It looks pretty user friendly as a buyer. And as let's say I'm a service company, I want to put my products on here. Mm-hmm. What's the process of actually putting my product? Is it a cumbersome process? Is it pretty?
No. But one benefit that we have, right? Because I've been asked, and you made me think of something. We've been asked, well, what happens if an Amazon or a Google or somebody wants to come into the oil field space, right? One advantage we have that's going to make it very difficult for them is this is started and run by oil field people.
Yeah, we don't. I was going to say, you talk about big tech right now in the oil field with everything going on right now. Nobody wants that.
There is a technical connection both to our buyers and our sellers that's very hard to replicate if you don't have that experience. Right? Oh yeah. So we don't rush adding people. We're getting faster and faster with it, because as we scale up, it's going to have to. Right. But no, the basic process is either we approach someone and ask them, or they come on to our customer service. They either put in a customer service request. There's an option on there, become a seller.
Okay.
It's one of the quick things you can put.
I see that right here.
Or there's a phone number, and they can call and get Sylvia, our customer service coordinator, and she can set them up. And it's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty simple seller agreement. Once we sign that, we have an onboarding session. We introduce the team. This is the person in charge of IT. Organizing it. Here's our marketing people. And then we have two sessions. We have a session to walk through the seller hub and how they upload their products. We help them with their strategy, right? Because we have a good feel for what's going to sell and what doesn't. Mm-hmm. We're vested in their success, so we help them the best way to set it up and what we think will be the most successful. Then we also have a separate marketing meeting with them, because one of the benefits you get is that you get included in our marketing. You get homepage banners as a new seller. You go out in our newsletter that goes out to both buyers and sellers.
Okay.
You get a social media campaign dedicated around your products being added. You go into our various paid advertising efforts. So there's, generally, as a startup, it's commercially for our sellers. It's set up quite low risk. So just the marketing alone is generally quite worth it for these.
Especially guys. Right now. I mean, people, just as we talked about, BCAC, before mm-hmm. COVID, after COVID. I mean, the way online marketing, social media presence, marketing, the content that you can develop, we as an industry, we're being forced to evolve into new innovative ways to market it out there. So this is just an added benefit to be. Anyway. I think we're coming. I mean, do you have anything else that you'd like to bring up?
No, I mean, I think that was, not to start flipping through it. But,
You flip through.
Yeah, just trying to see, no, I think we really touched most of it. It's,
Excuse me.
no, that's fine. We're, right now though, all I'd want to do is I want to encourage people to at least just go to the site, click around. Maybe a couple of things I didn't mention that because people generally some of the questions they have is that when you go in, we do have from payment methods. Most of the sites on the market today are either just credit card or some of them have wire transfers. So we have credit card, we have ACH and wire transfer. We also have purchase order capability. We also are able to do customer specific requirements to the site. So we're able to put in price books. If you have a customer that has different pricing, we can upload that. What happens is when the user comes in, when they log in, what they see is they see the price slashed out and they see their own price. Because let's face it, once a customer starts buying, is there value for them to continue buying that way? Well, we think absolutely from a commercial efficiency standpoint, but we need to be able to set up, right? If they have a line of credit with the seller, we can handle POs, we can handle their own pricing, we can handle all of the specifics to our industry.
So one thing that people obviously enjoy Amazon, and I'm using Amazon because it parallels, is the Amazon probably the 2-day the shipping. Right. So that being said, I mean, let's say I'm a buyer and I get a Bayrite or a 5-inch unit check, whatever. I guess from that step, I click buy in the cart. How does it get to? So can you schedule it to get to the location? Does it get to where? What happens after that process?
So this is still one of the differences right now. So where we are is we connect the buyer and the seller. And it is the seller that is. Sorry, I keep moving.
No, you're good. That's why I'm over here.
It is the seller that handles the fulfillment.
Okay.
Right. The packages and ships. Now, we still handle through the site where the buyer still gets their account updated, their order updates. They get their emails. Here's your tracking information. Right. This is when it's going to be delivered. Everything you're used to seeing when you buy anything on e-commerce. But the seller is still fulfilling that. Now, when they set it up. They set up their portfolio online. They're able to put in their lead times for each of the products. So the buyer does see that up front. They do see the lead time. And then when they start going through the actual purchase process, they're going to get a more updated time if it's slightly different than what is there. Now, when you start looking at path forward, this is where it could really get exciting, right?
Yeah.
And you start thinking about consigned inventory. You start thinking of fulfilled by Amazon model, and this is definitely one of the paths.
Well, it's I love the idea. I love the website is great. The idea is I think it's exciting. I think it's cool. It's new. It's innovative. It ties into the personal side of our everyday lives right now. And I think I'm excited to see how it evolves. You know what I mean? Because right now we're at the, as I said, Tyler stage. I'm looking forward to 2022, 2023, Absolutely. And seeing what other stuff, how else you guys are gonna, guys and girls are gonna evolve, or what other industries or whatever that looks like.
Imagine you're a drilling manager, and you can just hand over your well plan.
I'd just hand it over to CPC right there.
Hand over your well plan. All the products come just in time delivery as per the schedule of the well. This is where you could see this eventually.
That takes a lot of time. I mean, you're adding value because of time management. You're making things simple.
Yes,
I like that. So again, everyone, Jason, I appreciate you coming on. I think this was an excellent conversation. You can find Jason Ward on LinkedIn. And again, I highly recommend everyone out there, whether you're a service company, because it could benefit you, whether you're an operator, it could benefit you. Again, it's theofmp.com, theoilfieldmarketplace.com, and Jason is the sales director. Did I get that right? Sales director of Hexacom. And man, I think this is unique. This is cool. This is innovative. It's new, and again, I'm looking forward to seeing this grow, or see how it evolves, how it grows. So I think it's cool.
And don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. jword@theofmp.com.
And what we're going to do once we publish this, we're going to do on LinkedIn and on Instagram and on Facebook. What we'll do, we'll put the link to the Oilfield Marketplace right there, so everyone can kind of take a look, or if they need help getting there. So I appreciate your time, and I'm excited about this. It's I had no idea about this before. I went online yesterday, checked it out a little bit, and I like where this is going. I love how you're tying it to Amazon. I love what y'all are doing for the industry. So thank you for your time, Jason, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
All right.